Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about how to turn this into this. Matt.
This is my man, Matt Rogers, and the objective of today's video is to walk him through what it's going to look like to lose 10 to 15 pounds of body fat after establishing some really healthy habits. So at the end of this video, he and you are both going to know how to set an objective target to lose 10 to 15 pounds in the next 10 weeks. We're going to talk about if that's sustainable or not, what you need to accomplish to be consistent, and we're going to lay it all out. And I want to first start off with talking about Matt and the journey that he's already had, or actually I'll let you walk us through that and how we focused on habits first and how we've gotten to the point where we are today to where we feel like we can take on this next thing.
All right, so I mean, being an ex-football player myself, when I retired from football, as many stories, gained a lot of weight, didn't feel good about myself, back hurt, knee hurt, shoulder, all the problems. When I first came to Kevin, the thing that I loved most about you was you gave me very attainable goals to where I thought in the beginning, like, well, that's easy, I can do it. But if I bit off more than I could chew, I probably would have missed. So you gave me attainable goals and you let me experience little victories. And the more victories I had, the more confidence I had. So it started to work. So.
And just to shine some light on what those things were is Matt wanted to have the entire 70-page PDF, tell me exactly how to lose the weight that I want to have. And we actually started off with the very first thing being, which was?
It was very, very simple. It was cutting out, I mean, I'm just going to tell you, in my chicken bowl, it was cutting out the tzatziki sauce, which is like a mayonnaise base. It's not healthy. And it was cutting out the sweets because I love sweets. That's my sweet spot. I got a sweet tooth. But telling me to only cut out to, if I could hit that goal, 80%.
For 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks. So can I cut out sweets at 80% for 2 weeks, which basically means in 14 days, if I touch sweets twice, I still hit my goal. And I did.
Yeah, we built on more habits and we got to more challenging things to work on, but he's had such great progress on hitting the little things first that now I feel like I asked him the question, do you feel like you're ready, able, and willing to make a change? Because if you're not any of those things, this next big step that we're going to take is not going to work, because what we're going to talk about is how being slow and sustainable is always the best case. But when you have a short-term goal like this summer, 10 weeks out, it can serve some good, powerful mindset focus because it's a short-term goal. This is not going to be sustainable. But if we want to get locked in for the summertime, this would be great for you. So the very first thing that we have to ask ourselves, if we're going to make this 10-week commitment, is it even worth it based off those things I just talked about? Being hungry at times, being super disciplined and dedicated, and if you're ready, willing, and able to make this change.
So you're asking me?
I'm asking.
It's definitely worth it because, like a lot of other people probably watching, is I have that picture of myself on my phone, what I looked like back when, and I look at it all the time. For years, I wanted to look like that again, and I've just obviously never been able to get there. So is it worth it? Yes, because I want to be that guy.
Well, one thing that's going to be awesome throughout the 10 weeks is you're going to learn a lot of powerful habits, and you're going to learn some good takeaways throughout this process because it's going to challenge you in a new way. Break down what our actual goal is going to be over the next 10 weeks. We need to start looking at what's an obtainable weight loss goal. The first thing is that we were going to be looking at 0.5 to 2 pounds per week. And what we have to do during this time is we have to focus on strength, because as we talk about how to accomplish this with decreasing your caloric intake, and we have to change our training up a little bit. We're gonna have to focus on strength a lot more to preserve your muscle mass. But just like whenever I do competitions, Matt, when I have a set target in mind and I know that I need to be competition ready, if we put this in our mind as what 10 weeks should look like of losing 10 to 15 pounds, this would be a fail-proof system to actually make this happen. So throughout this process, when we're going to be cutting your calories and things of that nature, you've got to keep the end in sight. And if it doesn't sound like the emphasis that I'm making on how complicated and how long-term it's not sustainable, it's because what I'm going to be suggesting to you to make this happen is going to be very challenging in that capacity. Because we have to simplify everything. We have to take all the variability out. We have to, and we're going to talk more about that here in a minute, but like things need to be the same so that we can not have as many variables, but know exactly what's taking place.
Okay, so you know that I've done like fads in the past. I've done, the things where, 90-day challenge and then, lose 40 pounds in 30 days, which I have. Mm-hmm. My problem is I gain it all back. Right. How is this going to be different?
That's a great question, and this goes back to the very principle of why we started where we started, which is on habit stacking. Because when we get to this end goal and you accomplish getting the 10 to 15 pounds off in weeks, if your vacation and your lifestyle habits go back, you will gain it right back. Because this is only a short-term thing. It is an opportunity to get really focused, but what we want to be able to do, Matt, from this experience is learn some very powerful habits that's going to challenge you with your nutrition and see what we can go back to our habit stacking and which ones were really effective and how can we keep this one and keep that one. But think of this as like I compete in competitions and prepare for CrossFit and stuff like that. This is your 10-week competition. That's what this is.
You're the first person, when I talk about weight loss, you're the first person that's ever talked about strength with weight loss. Everyone else has just talked about diet and losing weight. You're the only person that's ever said strength.
The three things that are going to lead to your actual success with losing weight, number one is nutrition. Number two is increasing your activity level, being more active in general. And number three is actual training. And this is why, a couple of things. When we start to emphasize more strength training, this is the opposite of what everybody else wants to do. When they want to lose weight, they want to go do more cardio.
Right.
And we've been focusing on you with cardio to improve your cardiovascular ability so that we can have good performance in our workouts. But now that we're going to be super dialed in on this, your body wants to get rid of muscle because it's harder to hold on to. So if we continue on the days you're outside of training and doing these high intensity workouts, you're going to be run down. So what that looks like outside of personal training is we're going to be switching from engine type stuff, which is where he focuses on building his cardiovascular system, to pure strength training. As things get, as a caloric deficit takes place, we have to continue to focus on strength and keep pushing on so that you can hold on to muscle. That's the big difference in losing weights and losing body fat percent.
So essentially, when I've lost weight in the past, you could tell I've lost weight, but I didn't have muscle, like I wasn't cut up. So this, I'll actually have more muscle and lose the weight.
Yes, and that's why the emphasis is on strength training instead of just, most people, they get on the nutrition, boom. They increase their activity by doing more cardio, but the emphasis on strength training is out the window, so the muscle, preserving your muscle is out the window. So that's all great information, but now we're going to talk about a 6-step process to actually have this take place. What does it take to have decreased fat loss? This is a decrease in your caloric intake and also an increase in protein. That way we can preserve your muscle. 6-step process to make this happen. All right, and again, this isn't going to be sustainable for a long time, but for the next 10 weeks, the first thing, if we look at your caloric intake, we got to figure out, well, what is my caloric intake? A very simple tool to use this is your body weight times 10. So you're 270 pounds times 10, is that 2,700?
Yes.
2,700 calories is your target goal. And if for you watching, if you're not an active person and you're wanting to get into this 10-week progression, if you're not as active, use a times 12 metric.
So I get 2,700 calories a day.
Yes.
This actually makes me feel better because the last weight loss program I went on, it was like 1,400 calories. So I'm actually getting more calories. That's a good thing.
We can talk about that in a whole other thing, and we'll talk about if this is going to work for you or not on some of the later steps. But the next thing that we want to focus on is protein. So we got your caloric intake, we got your protein intake, and body weight times 0.85. I did not know the math on that. And if you're not as active, 0.1. Let's figure out that math real quick.
225. And it is 270 times 0.85 is 229.5.
Let's go. 229.5. Now, in a true coaching session, we would actually break down, okay, how is this stuff going to be obtainable? And Matt and I are going to have this conversation outside of this video, but how are we going to reach 229? How are we going to get 2,700 calories? What that looks like. But for the purpose of this video, just giving you a 6-step process on what it would look like on a general outline for Matt to lose 10 pounds. Yes, sir.
So I get 2,700 calories a day, and 229 of those calories have to be protein?
That's correct.
Okay.
So a lot of times when people want to lose weight is they think about calories, they think about carbs, they think about cardio. We've already addressed those two. We got calories, protein. Don't let this be a time where you are afraid of carbohydrates. You might even look at somewhere around 30% of your carbs so that your workouts and your strength training isn't affected. Because not to label bodybuilder, but when you pull back so many carbs, your energy levels are going to be trash, and then your workouts are going to go to crap, and then you don't feel good because working out is what's helped you get this far and you feel ready, willing, and able to take this on. So those are your rough outline numbers right now. 2,700, 230, 30% carbohydrates. I'm going to be giving Matt a more detailed outline of what that looks like in meals and things of that nature.
I like this. I'm understanding this.
Well, this is where it gets more complicated, because the reason why bodybuilders do have success is because they keep things extremely boring and very simple, which is what you're going to have to do in order to find out these exact numbers. In fact,
Boring and simple in terms of what I'm going to eat.
You got to keep the end inside the plate. Again, not sustainable, but 10 weeks, you're not traveling this summer like you normally do. We want to use this time to where almost every single meal is the exact same, because it's going to take some fine tuning to where, oh, my calories are too high or my protein's too low or whatever. You want to find your meals, and then you're just going to have to just, boom, I'm just eating it. This is what I'm eating.
Yeah.
Not sustainable. This is the whole thing of eating chicken, broccoli, and rice. It's not something we're going to do long term, but when you have a focused goal, it's what you have to do to be able to stick to your macronutrient target. 2 platforms, there's probably several, but we want to track everything you eat and everything you drink on MyFitnessPal, or I think it's called Chronometer. I know that you have used these in the past, and we even tried a sample of this earlier in our coaching process. But in order for this to work, we have to be very diligent about this process. And also, here's a rule of thumb that you're going to have to use during this time we don't emphasize this in our normal coaching habits. I haven't had Matt step on the scale very often, but for this 10 weeks, we need to step on it every single day and weigh yourself, because we need to get weekly averages.
So they say you want to weigh yourself right when you wake up in the morning. Is that true?
Yep.
Okay.
So as soon as you wake up, we'll get a weekly average, and this is when we start to change things. You're 270 pounds right now. What is our target per week?
0.5 to 2 pounds.
0.5 to 2 pounds. So if your weekly average drops to 269 pounds after 1 week, we are moving in the right direction. Don't change anything. That's option 1. It's working. If you do not do anything and you stay the same, we need to decrease by another 200 calories per day. If you gained weight, you need to track better. That means, and when we talk about tracking, like actually weighing your food in grams and being super diligent with everything. How you feel about that so far?
Lord Jesus, let this work. No, it totally makes sense.
One of the easiest ways that we can get was nutrition. What was number 2? And number 3 was training.
Activity.
Increase your activity. So one of our habit stackings that we've worked on has been increasing your step count. Do you know what your average is right now?
Oh, I could look at my Garmin that you bought me for my birthday.
When I think about telling you and everyone else, if number 2 is to increase our activity, one of the simplest things that we can do to get low intensity, steady state, which is great for fat loss, is increasing our steps. So I would even say that during this time, we need to increase it by 4,000 to 5,000 steps. That's, you talk about, well, in our normal coaching session, I was like, how would you increase your steps by 5,000 per day? Taking it from 7,500 to 12,000, how are you gonna make that happen?
First thing you taught me, which has been awesome, is after every meal, take a walk around the block. If you live by a park, take a walk around the park, but maybe walk for 10 to 15 to 20 minutes after every meal.
After a meal is a great way because it's gonna also help increase your digestion. One thing that you can do as well is as soon as you get up, get out, get some sunshine, get your steps there so you can get it in the morning. A very simple thing to do that in this 10-week period of time could be parking farther away. Simple as that. Park at the back, park a few blocks away from where you're ever gonna go to increase your steps, because nutrition, activity, training is number 3. Common mistakes throughout this entire process is gonna be emphasizing on cardio, lack of emphasis on strength training, poor tracking, and not being super diligent with eating the same thing. Because when this gets messed up, your track, this gets messed up. So from here, Matt and I are going to dive into a deeper approach of how we can actually customize this process to him, so that instead of just having to be over the top and that's great information, nothing happens when we're just absorb stuff. So now we're going to talk about actual strategies on what hitting his calories looks like, where is his protein sources going to come, what obstacles is he going to face, and we're going to dive into that now. If you want to get help with that exact same process that I'm going to do with him, go ahead and click the link down below. We'll schedule a call, and during that time, we'll do the exact same thing. I'll take you from what obstacles you're facing right now to where you want to be, and if I can help you, I'll simply walk you through that process.